All right. Had a little bit of an issue with the stream key here. All good. Live. And of course, I get an ad on my own stream. That's awesome. Okay. Hello, hello. All right, what's up? So earlier this week, I had a series of 2 streams that were divided because I misclicked. Right, one was on reactionaries like Nick Fuentes, the Canadian right or whatever the hell. The second one was moreover on the Plattner left, American exceptionalists, and you know how streams get uploaded as videos to YouTube, right? Video on demand, VODs. So today I got an influx of a lot of American exceptionalists, Yankees, who left a lot of comments saying I was quote unquote dividing the left and I was the CIA and stuff like this because I denounced Graham Plattner as a terrorist, a war criminal, and a genocidal psychopath. So these people told me that it is actually counter-revolutionary to oppose war criminals that are worse than like a lot of IDF soldiers. If this is the state of the American left, then what even is the left anymore? um, yeah, it truly is mind-numbing. So I wanted to read a few of those comments, and first of all, let's establish who Graham Plattner is, right? Let me pull up the actual fight agency. So yeah, in January of 2025, a couple of Democrats started an agency called Fight, where they basically find people to run for office. And since then, they have had over 300 winning elections. And let me put my glasses so I can actually read what's on my screen. Is there any way I can just have it like this? Boom. Okay, so this is the fight agency that I was talking about. Rebecca Katz, which is like an, you know, right, $100 million of attack ads against them. So, but like they literally ran John Fetterman, like an extremely an extreme Zionist, right? He basically fucked over his electors. So you know, it's a team of consultants, and like their ads right now are right here. They ran Zoran Namdani, Bernie, Zionist, and John Fetterman, and of course Graham Plattner. So that's the theme, the team that's running them. Badam Panada made an actual video on who these people are, and so they wanted a guy to run for Maine Senate, and they of course chose a veteran, a guy who's an oyster farmer, and for them he was like the perfect candidate. They gave him a platform to say what the agency themselves wanted to say. And if you look at Graham's actual platform, right, there's a lot of like typical social democrat / liberal stuff. A lot of these things are like things proposed by right wingers in other countries. it's at a point where like the quote unquote American left is defined by like universal healthcare and nothing else, right? Like he's running for main senate, a position where he gets elected and then it's a political career for the rest of his life. And like we're gonna go back to this platform, right? Graham Plattner for Senate, right? Again, running on the Democratic Party tickets. And when you go down there, of course, you are going to see that, of course, the least someone can do after 70 years of genocide in Gaza is, and in Palestine more broadly, is to denounce it as a genocide. Of course, he's not going to talk about one-state solution. Still, a Zionist talking point to not actually advocate for full self-determination. And right here, he's talking about rebuild American shipbuilding and rebuild the American Navy. The guy runs on a platform of actually supporting the US military, rebuilding itself, and investing more in the US military. And he makes a lot of talking points about useless wars, as if a war had a point, it was actually justified. And yeah. So, again, something that these American exceptionists never fail to disregard is the point to which Plattner is an actual terrorist, right? So the guy comes from a pretty well-off family. So there's no, he was doing it for college or some shit. Even then, like, you're an American. Is it justified for you to join the US military? Fully knowing, like, this is the 21st century, right? You have access to this information. People knew what they were into for years and years, right? And this wasn't like 2002 when the war in Iraq, the war of Afghanistan, the war on terror came roaring. Like 30 years ago, there was before that, there was the Vietnam War, right? Where in this case, soldiers were actually conscripted and were drafted into this war. And this was a point where a lot of soldiers actually saw that the US was being an imperialist beast and genociding people. And a lot of these soldiers actually came back or escaped the draft or actually themselves protested the war and denounced it. And this is really not the same situation as right now or 20 years ago, where like people like Plattner knew full well what the US military did, what the US military was about, what its interests were. I don't think there's any way you can not see that. And so he himself said multiple times that he was waiting for his war. His parents were going to pay for his college. They paid for a backpacking trip for him to learn about himself or to know what he was going to want to do in life, right? And he came back and joined the US Marines and did 4 tours in Iraq and 1 tour in Afghanistan. And like, he deliberately went there because he wanted to kill people, right? He told his parents, his family, like, I'm waiting for my war. He was waiting for his war since this guy was 8 years old. He enlisted by his own admission, just to kill people. To kill poor people in the Middle East, in the global south, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. And it's disturbing, right? Just this is enough to make you vomit in your own mouth. But after this, bro came back and before coming back, right, he specifically asked to be put in an infantry position to kill people. and he never wanted to be promoted out of combat, even though there were like financial benefits attached to it. Not that it makes it any better, right? So he refused to, uh, to be put out of a combat role. And so he came back to the US, and then he decided, you know what, I want to kill more people. And so he signed up to be a Blackwater mercenary. He himself argued, oh no, it wasn't Blackwater, it was another company affiliated to Blackwater, right? Where he was a guard at the Abu Ghraib prison. So a torture camp for Abu Ghraib, sorry, a torture camp for Iraqi civilians, and you know the famous picture, right, with the guy with a pillowcase over his head, getting tortured, people fucking shitting themselves, getting electrocuted, some of the worst torture imaginable done to human beings, to like protect the US genocide in Iraq at that time. So the guy guarded this camp. He was literally the same thing as an Auschwitz guard during the Holocaust. There's no difference. Like the guy is arguably worse than an IDF soldier just doing paperwork. This is the argument that Badam Badada made as well. That there's no distinction between the two, right? Yet American exceptionalists will see this behavior and still defend it, because for them the US military is somehow worth protecting. And something I want to add on this matter. Yesterday, VE had a stream interview with Maureen Galindo, where she's arguably one of the only candidates for an election who actually opposes Zionism. But there were still like elements of American exceptionalism in which she said she wants a strong military to protect her country and interest in Texas, right? And it just boggles my mind that someone who can be an anti-Zionist like that doesn't see the American exceptionalism as the same thing. And this is not to speak against her. I get that there's a lot of like propaganda or whatever. And I still think the interview was pretty good. But yeah, like people don't see the US on the same level as they see, let's say, Israel, even though Israel itself is a colonial project of the UK, the US, and supported by Germany, the entire global north, and specifically the US that supplies weapons to them. So, you know, those Iraq war veterans were doing the same shit that IDF soldiers are doing today. And like the things that they did to civilians were fucking abhorrent, right? There was this case too as well of an Australian Iraq war veteran who himself got prosecuted for doing things that were less horrible than Plattner did, arguably, and he got life in jail. And thing is, he didn't even like denounce his comrades in arms who were doing the same shit as him, killing, torturing civilians, and all for US imperialism. And so then Graham Planner came back to the US, and he got gifted an oyster farm where he worked for 8 years. So last stream I said that he never worked in his life except to kill people, apart from the oyster farm. So I apologize to the people who were offended by that last sentence. So yeah, he did work 8 years in an oyster farm that was gifted to him by family friends after genociding people. This makes it much better, right? Much better. Yeah, but I mean, still, the poverty draft, when you're talking about the Iraq war, no. Yeah. Um, so, yeah, of course, he's absolutely the plant. Fight Agency ran him for Senate on a platform that they themselves decided. And of course, they're an agency, so they're going to tell him what people want to hear. And yeah, that's the whole thing with this Platner thing. So yeah, like he never had any remorse. He got a Nazi tattoo, a skull tattoo, right? And the thing is, okay, there was an interview where he said that like the tattoo, he didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo. He just thought the skull looked cool and represented what he did. So what he did was killing people. A skull, right? Makes it much better. Like even then, what do you mean the poverty draft? You don't join the military out of like a you think killing people who are much poorer than you for the interest of the US imperialist machine is worth your personal elevation or a class elevation into like a better position with college paid for? It is helping the imperialist USA. And at this point, like trades are so accessible, so might as well just do this. But um, something I wanted to do as well is read a few of those comments. I made a post about that on YouTube, and someone said, "So you would vote for the more neo-lib candidate instead of the guy who changed his ways?" Lol. Okay. In a very condescending way, this person is named New Socialist Era Videos. Um, and their definition of socialism is, of course, Zohran Mamdani. And this person has Trump derangement syndrome, of course. Um, like, what do you mean the more neo-lib candidate? The guy literally, like Platner, advocates for a strengthening of the U.S. military and runs on a platform to give more social benefits for veterans, people who were in the U.S. war machine and who killed people for the U.S.'s interests. And somehow these people, because of American exceptionalism, get treated much better by society when they come back. They get discounts for being veterans and shit. Like, at some point, you just have to ask yourself what the Americans are smoking. Um, so yeah, healthcare for the burger people, murder for the non-burger. And this goes for Canadians as well, right? Quebecois people. This is something like Canadian exceptionalism that happens as well, where people were still like Canada, well, Canada is better than the US. Well, we engage in the same wars as the US, as we fund the Zionist war machine, as our soldiers repress indigenous movements and resistance in forested areas, right? Defense of the ancestral lands gets absolutely crushed by the Canadian military. And their exercises are, of course, to defend Canadian sovereignty. And that means defending the resources that are in the north, and of course engaging in whatever wars the US wants to engage in. So the like yeah. Oh yeah. Regarding Yakub in the thumbnail, right? The thumbnail is very much so meta irony, where I'm standing side by side with Graham Plattner and Yakub, as the uh, Oh my god. I get the zero exposure to anti-imperialist rhetoric, but like I am from a well-off background in Quebec, where people still see veterans or as like exceptional people who defended our interests. And we do have a lot of Iraq and Afghan veterans, right? We engage, as Canada, we engaged in the same genocidal war as the US. And our veterans are treated the exact same way. They have their custom plates, they get recognition from society, they get treated like these really great people, right? And they never question their own actions in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yet somehow I came to this realization that, right, this is straight up genocide. And this is the thing: Canadians, Americans, Australians get benefits from American and Canadian and Australian imperialism, right? We benefit from this, from the domination over the global south, from the extraction of their resources. And so our material interests are aligned with the domination of those said countries. And to not see this as something that's has to change means you're an imperialist apologist. It's fucked. It's fucked. And the thing isn't only imperialism abroad, sorry, right? Like, as of now, the Quebec government is letting companies chop down trees, like logging companies, mow down entire forests in native reservations, and the military defends those logging companies and prevents resistance from actually taking proper action against it. The same thing goes for pipelines, for mineral extraction, and I think the same thing applies to the US as well. We are still in a colonial era. Colonialist governments with a colonialist policy, with still very genocidal intentions. But yeah, the main point here is that, like, all the arguments people use to defend like the poverty draft or whatever, I disagree with that point. But even if that were true, it doesn't apply to Plattner. And so these people, these American exceptionalists, think that like it's okay to join this imperialist war machine and kill people in the Middle East because they value the lives of Americans over the lives of Iraqis. Simple as that. And at least if you come back and then you don't talk about it, or you show very, very much a lot of remorse and let go of your ranks and titles and benefits from being a veteran, and actually just denounce this and take actual action to organize against the US war machine, maybe there's redemption. Right? It's I don't even know what to think anymore. It's like, I want to have hope in the American and of course the Canadian working class, but fuck, this mindset is like dominating everyone. Sorry, I'm gonna try to raise the microphone a bit more. Yeah. I know it comes across as someone sitting in the same next room, but I'm gonna try to speak a bit louder. So yeah, let's look at some other magnificent comments. We're gonna go see imperialism in the Plattner left, right? Oh, 23 dislikes from the Yakubian people. So actually, I think it's better if I. Is there a way to? Shit. Yeah. This one doesn't have any battery. Um. Someone says, "Can I say though what I do find BS about abstentionism is the idea that I shouldn't vote to keep abortion from being banned in my state because one day some MLs may do a revolution." And this is so fucking reductive. Like, we're talking about war criminal who participate in the genocide. How about actually organizing on the ground and doing shit? Like someone said, the YouTube algorithm serving this up to me is more evidence that I need that it's actually actively trying to divide the left. And this is something like a lot of people in the comment section were saying, you're dividing the left, dividing the left. What is dividing the left? What is the left when you're talking about like supporting a fight agency backed Democrat running on a platform that was given to him because he is a veteran, and people are going to vote for a veteran because they see a big strong man with an oyster farm, a relatable petit bourgeoisie guy. This is not the left. The guy is an American exceptionalist who never repudiated any of his actions and just denounces pointless wars because that justifies wars with an actual point. Like every time I ask these people if they actually watched the video or the stream clip, they themselves say, no, I didn't watch it. Then why are you actually like pronouncing your take on this? And someone said that this video and these comments are the epitome of why people fucking hate us. And I responded that I sincerely apologize for denouncing genocide, a very big moral and optics failure on my part. I will bow to your supreme Yakubian intelligence. And this fucking guy called Dark Jord said, cringe, keep acting like that's the reason people hate us. Bro only has the capacity to think about one issue at a time. Everything revolves around Israel in your mind. I didn't mention Israel a single time. I said American exceptionalism is the same thing as Zionism, right? Where, in the sense of justifying the killings of people to further the goals of one state. Everything revolves around Israel in your mind. What happens when America completely ignores Israel and Israel exists without any pressure? And this will happen because Israel is an American project. Will you then still hate America because they didn't fight Israel? What the fuck is this? First of all, why would the USA fight Israel, their own colonial project to advance their own interest in the Middle East? This is a weird kind of American exceptionalism where not only did this guy did not watch a single moment of the video or of my channel, first of all, denouncing people for talking too much about Israel is weird as hell. You are a Zionist if you think like this, or a Jewish exceptionalist, whatever the fuck. Thinking that like denouncing a certain state over and over again for their genocide is weird as hell, or bad optics is fucking crazy. If this is bad optics or anormal, then what even is the normal if not like a bunch of genocidal apologists? This guy said, not everything is fascism. I responded, you did not watch the video? And he said, no, I didn't. Of course. And the best one is, the CIA will never need to split the left again. We do it so well ourselves, we will never get anything done. And it's interesting, very interesting he mentions the CIA because Plattner was a mercenary for a CIA torture camp. He literally worked for the CIA. How is that splitting the left by denouncing him? And the amazing comment that was left was at Charlitics. I know you don't know anyone in the military, so this is a foreign concept to you. Again, assuming things about people. But no one joins the military to mass murder civilians. Okay, no one joins the military to mass murder civilians. Is this guy fucking with me? This is literally the exact motive that Graham had when he joined the US military, to kill people. Another person said that, like, they personally knew someone who said that they joined the US military to kill Muslims. This is like saying that people don't join the IDF to kill people, when this is all they do it for, to kill people. Why would people join an army of an imperialist state where they give you a gun as infantry, send you to the Middle East, where you have a mission to kill as many civilians as you can? Why would they join that to kill people? It's not possible. Either this person is extremely fucking stupid, or yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Either willful ignorance or straight up just evil lying. Is that the outcome? Sure. Yeah, of course. That's the outcome. They don't do it, but they don't join for this, but they end up mass murdering people, but so it's okay, because they didn't join for that. What the fucking kind of thinking is that? Like, denouncing everyone who's ever been in the military is dumb and counterproductive. That's not what I'm saying. Like, we're specifically talking about Graham Plattner, right? Who did 5 tours in the Middle East and then joined a mercenary group, a mass murdering genocidal psychopath. We're not talking about every single US soldier ever, right? People who got drafted and then opposed the war, people who fought during World War II against the Nazis. Like, not everyone. People can be redeemable if they actually have remorse and shut the fuck up about their accomplishments and actually fight for change. But that's not what Plattner is doing, right? He's not fighting for change. He is someone who mass murdered civilians in Iraq and now runs on a platform to expand the US military. How is that a revolutionary praxis? And the funniest thing was this guy who left an AI generated comments, right? With the long dashes, the honestly, and the it's not just, it is. And then the bullet points and even the subtitles in the comments. Like I said, nice AI generated comments, because of course these people have no actual arguments other than asking their bobot. Fucking hell, another rant. These people cannot do anything without asking AI, right? They need to have the confirmation bias from the AI to justify their own actions and talking points. It's fucking ridiculous. The guy said, you shouldn't be taken seriously. It's crazy. It's actual fucking crazy people. If you aren't supporting the defeat of the GOP in every possible way, you're counter-revolutionary. Do you think the Black Panthers were voting for the Democrats? No, they were actually organizing and doing a protracted people's war in the USA. What the fuck are you talking about defeating the GOP? The Democrats are doing the exact same shit to people in the Middle East, to people in Palestine. But somehow, because they give better worker rights, even then that's marginal in the US, then it's okay. Do they not see that Kamala Harris had the same platform as Donald Trump when it came to Iran, to Palestine? They never denounce anything. They only want to use the US military and its tools to genocide people abroad in the global south. And one of these guys legit unironically said that Stalin was an imperialist, which I'm really struggling to see when he consolidated like corporate power somehow in the USSR with banks, and then with those that monopoly capitalism somehow in the USSR, started exporting said commodities and investing abroad to produce more commodity for a profit motive to enrich the USSR. What the fuck is he talking about? Anyway, it's crazy. So yeah, it's of course social chauvinists and social fascists running as candidates, and somehow people fall for this. And like someone said, it was a clickbait because I used Plattner in thumbnail, even though that's what the actual fucking stream clip was about. And also the other guy, what's his name? Not FD Signifier, the guy's a Zionist and a massive Plattner fan as well. But Mike from PA, yeah, Mike from Tel Aviv, with his best buddy Nick from the Deprogram Boys, right? So yeah, it's of course an electoralist fantasy. These people think that political activism, comes in the form of voting for genocidal maniacs, which have marginally better platforms than other genocidal maniacs, for a Senate role. And they never actually want to pressure candidates with their votes, like calling them, sending them a lot of emails and saying like, if you, or actually disrupting their events, if you don't change your platform on this point, I won't vote for you, or we won't vote for you. These people don't want to have any solidarity. They don't want to engage themselves in any actual movements, and it's fucking deplorable. And, Canada is the same thing, right? We have our genocidal imperialist parties. We have those same vets running for office, right? And our political landscape, electoral landscape, is pretty similar. Just Canadianized, right? Imperialist. This brings me to talk about Québec Solidaire, our left-wing Soc Dem party, right? May 1st, when there was a papier-mâché guillotine of Jean Boulet, a minister who cut down on worker rights and socially murdered a bunch of people with bad policy, neoliberal policy, all the parties in the National Assembly, including Québec Solidaire, denounced them openly and said that this was reprehensible, but never actually addressed what the minister Jean Boulet did. And in Montreal, when people from the Montreal for Palestine group hung an effigy of Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Itamar Ben-Gvir, they all went furious. All the media outlets, all the right and even left social democrats parties, they went furious. They denounced and started crying about how they hung this effigy. And of course, they twisted it by saying that, they hung a Jewish person, an effigy of a Jewish person. And they never actually mentioned who that Jewish person was. It's Itamar fucking Ben-Gvir, a genocidal maniac who laughs at people getting tortured, Palestinians getting tortured in IDF camps, who advocates and directly bombs houses, hospitals, schools, kills people while they get fucking organ harvested for Israelis, IDF soldiers. They see evil in the resistance, and they don't see evil in Zionism, in American exceptionalism, in torturing people and killing people, right? So not only do people not have class consciousness, when they do, a lot of the time they think that they're going to be saved by electing Democrats because they don't actually want to make the actual work, right? And even here, organizing is a bit hard. And okay, I'm a bit scared for the future. The Canadian military made a deal with Palantir, right? You have heard that right, Palantir, for millions and millions of dollars to give them access to the entire military database regarding IDs, criminals and shit like that, but also access to civilian social media, and they want to use their AI model to corroborate social media stuff and surveillance and people's IDs, right? They're trying to do the same shit as the US. It's really starting to resemble this 1984 dystopia, Not that I'm a big fan of George Orwell, I fucking despise him, but yeah, the shit that Palantir is doing is really starting to resemble this. So with this recent like state crackdown on the left in general, and constant denunciations and incitement to violence against left-wing activists, they now made a deal with Palantir and they're going to surveil our social media. So it's fucking great. It's fucking great. But we're still out here organizing. We're still out here mobilizing. Tomorrow there is a community assembly to talk about the next steps. We're actually trying to build worker Soviet power here. But it doesn't work overnight, and it's still not anything that actually poses a threat or challenges the current status quo, because the Canadian state is a state with a very developed military technologically that is very powerful in counterinsurgency, counterintelligence, surveillance of groups that could be violent or disrupt the status quo, right? The last time Quebec had actual resistance was in the 70s with the FLQ, who were planting bombs in Westmount, right? Who were hijacking planes, and a lot of FLQ people from Quebec, right? The Front de Libération du Québec, came to Palestine. They went to Palestine to train with the PFLP to have some military knowledge. They trained with the fucking PFLP, right? And this was normal back in the day. And now people are denouncing the hangings of Itamar Ben-Gvir, figured in papier-mâché. Yeah, Peter Thiel definitely went to Argentina, and even then, I wouldn't be surprised if this fucking Javier Milei guy already has all that technology there. Yeah. So here's the thing, like, a lot of those people, American exceptionalists, who were denouncing me for dividing the left, calling me a do-nothing, do these people really think we're out here telling everyone on the internet what our activism is about, what we actually do on the ground? This would be fucking dangerous, right? This would be dangerous as hell. Like, the only thing we openly acknowledge here is like council work and like plastering papers all over the neighborhood, which everyone from the left to the right does, mobilizing people with posters and banners and shit. And we actually have a lot of spots to put up posters here in the neighborhood. It's superb. But yeah, it's fucking deplorable. These people think all activism is voting. Yeah, by the way, regarding OS, I just want to go on a small side tangent. I use... Okay, it's going to look like I'm a lying LARPer, right? Because I'm using Windows 11 right now with this stream setup. The only reason is because I'm using my phone with Droid Cam as a stream cam, because my webcam is a bit shit. So I have to use the USB mode. But if I want to use it on Fedora Linux, which I use, I'm using Fedora KDE because it's an awesome OS. It really works flawlessly. And when I do use Fedora KDE, I cannot get OBS to work with DroidCam wired mode. I only can use this camera right here in wireless mode, and then there's a delay with the microphone, which is really bad. I don't like when it does that. Yeah. Of course, yeah. Just vote fascism away. It worked in Germany, right? So, like, even then, my prediction is that we're seeing a lot of upsurge in indigenous left-wing labor movements in the global south. Right now, we are seeing Bolivia, where there is a civil war on the brink. We're on the eve of the civil war. Sorry, I don't really know how to word this, but there is a strong indigenous population in Bolivia who are working class, who are resisting against the capitalist neoliberal president, CIA backed, by the way. I really hope to see them succeed, but so far, their intelligence department and their military have been heavily repressing them. They killed dozens of people in protests. So now people are arming themselves in actual militias because they understand that the only way to actually fight a state like this is with armed struggle. And right here in Canada and the US, people are calling anyone who actually advocates for this a terrorist. It's crazy. So, yeah, we're seeing this in Bolivia. Argentina, I have no clue about, but what I've heard on the news was like people are going to are right now eating their fucking mules and donkeys because the economic situation is so dire. They have a bunch of communist parties starting back to fight against this government. People are resisting, people are protesting, there's general strikes. Venezuela, I have no clue about. It's looking a bit dire, but people are starting to resist again. The US war machine is getting cocked in Iran, even though like Iran has itself had a lot of losses, fortunately. Something I've been very hyped to see was that the Hezbollah has started to use those like $300 FPV drones, right, to target Israeli military targets. And it's been working very flawlessly because the Israelis don't have any defense against those FPV drones. And the defenses that are getting destroyed by these $300 drones often cost like hundreds of millions of dollars, which is awesome. So yeah, people are pushing back. People are resisting, but I don't think it's gonna come from the imperial core, because of people are Canadian American exceptionalists. People are not class conscious. People denounce anything resembling labor rights or labor advocacy, or unions are cucked by this capitalist realist leadership, and we benefit from imperialism. So my prediction is that like these revolutions in the global south, these resistance movements are going to either get violently suppressed, which I don't hope for. I hope there's much more they become like much more powerful, and I hope with time we can build strong enough communist movements here to actually challenge the hegemony or the state. Or but right now people still are cooked in this capitalist realist mentality. It's hard to have some enthusiasm sometimes, but yeah. Argentina, I have no clue about. Like, I don't know anything about the history of the Falklands, except that the British colonized this, and now there's British people living there. While Argentina is still claiming this. Yeah. ID requirements use 3D printers. This was fucking dystopians. Oh my, dystopian. Sorry. Oh my god. What has this world come to? So, yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Ooh, we have news from Lebanon. Hezbollah had a few successful operations in Israel, occupied Palestine. Missile barrage targeting Israeli military infrastructure in the city of Nahariya in northern Israel. a strike on Israeli army command headquarters in the southern Lebanese village of Nakura, a squadron of drones. Then a drone attack on the Yara Barak in northern Israel using what Hezbollah described as a squadron of drones. And another Israeli military vehicle near the Lebanese village of Yohmar al-Shakif after it was targeted by Ababil attack drones. Ababil, bruh. But of course, during that time, Israel targeted Gaza with a shit ton of bombs. And people are still getting fucking genocide in, and no one. People don't fucking do anything about it, right? Our Palestine protest in Quebec City, right? 50 people max. 50 fucking people showing up on a weekend with flags and shit to protest this. And no actual resistance. At least in the Czech Republic, they destroyed a fucking weapons manufacturer. It's I just hope the fucking US war machine gets crushed and that we. I'm sorry. I know I seem like very cynical right now, but it's hard seeing all these fucking worker rights movements and indigenous rights movements and anti-genocide movements get violently repressed by every single fucking state in the world. Always. I hope people start getting class conscious and start getting conscious to what's happening, but like I genuinely thought that the Gaza genocide would be like a propulsion point, sorry for the Americans, but apparently not. People are resisting, people are going to all these no king protests, but this resistance is just shouting things at the state and not actually doing anything. I do hope we see a rise in those fucking movements, but I don't know how we're gonna see this from the US. I would love to be proven wrong. There's not a single. There's two things I would love to be wrong about. China being a capitalist restored imperialist project, and Americans doing something, or not doing anything, sorry. I love to be wrong about these 2 points. That would be fucking wonderful. But, yeah. Fucking Christ. Someone kicked this fucking guy already. Like the Iran war was something that was going to happen in any other context, right? They were just waiting to attack Iran since the Iraq war, right? That was their next target, and they wanted control over the resources and establish an alliance of pro-Israel states, or vassal states or satellite states all over. They don't, these fucking American exceptionalists and imperialists don't see them as people. They only see them as like puppets and shit. I think this ties in a lot with Orientalism, where these goals will see the diaspora, right? The Toronto or the LA diaspora of the Iranians, and advocate for the bombing of those people because they see Iranians as oppressed by their Islamic government, while the oppression itself stems from and comes from Israel and the USA. They're fucking genociding these people. Fuck. I really wish the USSR was still around, because what the fuck are we doing now? Khrushchev in hell. Brezhnev in hell. Gorbachev in hell. Yeltsin in hell. All American presidents since the first one, whoever the fuck, in hell. All of those. Every Canadian president, and every British prime minister, and every German chancellor. Yeah. Fucking hell. I do hope there's temporary relief, at least for a lot of movements. But fuck, the only thing I see right now is like a bigger crackdown on the left as conditions worsen right here. Low-key, the only thing I see bringing people to actually do any action is not seeing a genocide on the other side of the world, right? It's expensive oil, expensive gas prices, which says a lot about North Americans, right? It says everything. God fucking damn it. It really does say everything. Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah, for the people who said that the thumbnail was very funny, this was the original thumbnail. I thought it was a bit too extreme for YouTube, so I went with the Left Unity thumbnail with Plattner and Jakub. Yeah. In all this to tie everything back, right? These American exceptionalists will always have the cognitive, well, not always, but often have the cognitive dissonance with Israel. And in the same breath, they're gonna say that like, oh, the two-state solution is the only human way, but like, you think conceding territory to the colonizer, conceding their stolen homes to the colonizer is justice? You think like this will fix anything? Even in the perfect world where Israel actually wanted a two-state solution and not just annihilating the entirety of the Middle East for their own benefit, you think they'd accept this? You think the Palestinians wouldn't continue resisting? It boggles my mind how people think this is a viable option. No. One-state solution, Palestine. And those same fucking people always denounce Hamas or Hamas this, Hamas that. And they're gonna say, oh yeah, I support the Palestinians, but Hamas is too extreme. Hamas is too extreme. What the fuck do you think colonized people are gonna do when... And this is a video I saw yesterday, like a man from Palestine, from Gaza. Last year, his wife was killed in an Israeli strike. And he thought to himself that half of his life was gone. He lost his wife. And he only had his two daughters left. And that was his will to live, his two daughters. And they got killed this week in an Israeli strike. He has nothing left to live for. His wife and kids got killed in Israeli strikes on two different occasions. He was begging for Israel to kill him now because he didn't have anything left to live for. What do you think people living under these conditions with those life stories are going to do when an armed group, the only resistance group there is, invites them to fight with them? Not even invites them, people just don't join them, but like, these fucking colonizers are people at this point. How do you denounce people resisting this kind of fucking abomination while claiming to be on the side of the colonized? Long live Leila Khalid. All right. Yeah, same thing with South Africa. But that's the thing. Like, a lot of these people will say, like, oh, the Boer all need to go back to their fucking country. Of course, yes, they do. These Boer colonizers, they... Even then, hold on. This is the thing, like, with South Africa. The Boers, they came to colonize South Africa and were doing the something similar to Israel, right? Well, even though in Palestine, um, they're actually fucking bombing the shit out of the villages. Um, they had a revolutionary war, right? They achieved independence. And these liberals often argue, like, oh, this is an example of what can be done peacefully if the two sides collaborate with each other, as if it would be applicable to Palestine during a genocide. But they completely disregard the aid, the military aid that Cuba gave them, the revolutionaries, the violence that took place to achieve this liberation. And when this liberation was achieved, the colonized had mercy on the colonizers. I don't understand, but the Boers still complained. They still complained. It wasn't enough for them. And with this, I think it would be the same with North America, right? Hundreds of millions of people can't leave this land, right? But at least remove the privileges from the colonizers and announce reparations, actually like actual self-determination, land back, land reform, socialism to prevent capitalist extractivism. Mm. Oh, yeah, yeah. Regarding Trump, yeah. Fuck. Do I think he's stupid? No. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing, or at least he knew before his dementia. Like, it's clear to me the guy's gone completely off the rails in the sense that he's demented. He has Alzheimer's, he's sundowning, and he's shitting himself all the time. Though this is not argument. Like, of course, if people are incontinent, this doesn't devalue them as a human being. But we're talking about Trump here. People forget he has an entire team behind him, right? JD Vance is the more dangerous ones, but they're still all fucking fascists. Same thing with the Democrats. Same genocidal rhetoric about Palestine. It's always all so tiresome. Do we have some more bangers from YouTube, right? Yeah. Oh, something I forgot to mention regarding Plattner, right? Or bringing this back. These people said that it's the same thing as when the Bolsheviks recruited a bunch of soldiers from the Tsarist army. Let's look at the different conditions, right? Tsarist army during World War One, basically in this entire time, like just soldiers from all the imperialist countries killing other soldiers from imperialist countries. And in Russia, we're talking about like a feudal country where, like the Tsar, Russia had these ambitions, but most people were like illiterate peasants who lived in utter poverty. Soldiers getting drafted and sent to the fucking like meat grinder, the imperialist meat grinder in Europe on the German front or the Russian front near Germany. And why these soldiers joined was because you had these women in Petrograd who were protesting against these conditions, and and having barely any food while continuing making clothes for those said soldiers. So they rioted, they protested, and in Petrograd in 1917, 1916, I forgot the history. There's a great podcast episode on this with Rev Left Radio called The March to October. And so then they managed to convince those soldiers that it wasn't worth fighting for, because there were peasants that weren't advancing any interest whatsoever. They were getting sent to a meat grinder for no actual fucking purpose. And so they turned back on the empire and mutinied their entire garrisons. Part of how the Russian Revolution was won over. Sure. Is the audio gone? I should try. I think I'm muted. Huh. So, like, very different conditions to the and the labor aristocracy, member of those classes, and sign up voluntarily to kill people poorer than them. Big fucking difference. Big fucking difference. So these liberals and American exceptionalists can't argue anything without huge amounts of straight up historical revisionism. Everyone having problems with the audio. Am I having a Michael Parenti moment here? Hello? Hello? Yeah. I think it's the Mossad. They're after me. Shout out to the Mossad for trying to silence my stream. No, I'm not. I don't have this kind of ailment. Might be the OBS thing. It says I lost 85 packets, 4.0% of the stream. Oh yeah, YouTube, Mossad, same thing. Same exact thing. Let me look at the OBS. Yes. Okay. Wow. So something I want to try doing is yeah. I bet we can find a Mike from P clip. Oh my god, this guy has the DSA rose on his fucking profile picture. The left is winning, reviewing the DNC autopsy. Oh my god. The guy's actually a Democratic Party shill. Fucking hell. Of course, lumping him in always because he has a podcast with Yurgovnik with these deprogram boards that are saying like China, do nothing win, enabling themselves to actually do nothing about organizing and just making YouTube videos. Because of course China is doing nothing and will win and will spread the world revolution as they have been doing in India and in the Philippines, of course. Of course. Regarding orgs in Canada, we have good cells for a lot of parties. Well, not a lot. Of course, it's a shitty context where there's not a lot of political engagement. There's the PMLQ or the CPCML. They follow this Brezhnevite / pseudo Hojaist. Anyway, they're Marxist-Leninist line. I have had people tell me like, oh, but these people are Brezhnevites, right? But I haven't had that experience with PMLQ people or CPCML people I've actually met. Great people. I remember actually at this May 1st event, we had a protest event where we had food that was stolen from a grocery store from a collective, right? The anarchists handle everything, of course. They're good at direct action. And so we had an event where all the Marxists and anarchists and leftists had their stands. Of course, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know I disagree a lot with anarchism, and I don't think it's a viable line to organize, and that a lot of them end up just being liberals. In Quebec City, a lot of them have actual principles, though there was a lot of very sus shit that I saw, notably like someone brought a copy of Animal Farm to this event next to our table, and I was a bit dumbfounded, like, what the fuck are you doing with this slop? But our table was next to the PMLQ, the Parti marxiste-léniniste du Québec. These guys are the CPCML guys. And they basically follow a line similar to the FLQ, and while having like actual Marxist-Leninist views. And so we ended up talking for a while instead of actually engaging in actually productive conversations about Mao Tse-tung Tung Tung Sahur and Tung Tung Lenin and the Trot 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 Sahur, you know, actual very pertinent activism. Anyway, very insightful conversation. Yeah, they're cool, and they have good selections of books. But yeah, when talking about the deprogram boards, right? We've said this in the previous streams, right? Where they were a good starting point back in 2020. I mean, personally, for my own political journey back then, I was working in an IKEA warehouse. And if you look at like the earlier Charlitics videos, like there's a 90% chance I wrote those from the IKEA warehouse. I was working at the sortie de marchandises, like I got the merchandise. Fucking hell. The French is me is showing. The merchandise, right? I had to pack up the orders from the warehouse, put them on little carts, and get them out for people who came in the click and collect thing. And most of the time, there was no one coming to get their orders while I worked because of odd hours or some shit like that. And people often came into the store from the other side. I was at the other side most of the time, click and collect on the outside. And this was exacerbated when they had these click and collect cases where people put a code and got their shit from the locker instead of coming into the store. Anyway, I was there for like 8 hours a day with a computer while I wasn't packing orders. So I had a lot of time on my hands to use Microsoft Word, and that's where I wrote the video on authority, right? The one on anarchism, the Marxist take on anarchism, Marxist critique of anarchism, right? I have good memories from this job. I really enjoyed it. It was chill. It was, yeah. So looking back at this, like the first video, the label slap origin story, that was a shit show. That was from when I was making videos on TikTok. Defunding the police, that's from that time. Same thing with landlords. System is making you depressed, and that came from an essay I wrote when I graduated high school. It was my final English essay, I think, and I was like, oh, why not turn this into a video? Capitalism sucks, but why? I was like, oh, I made a psychological critique, why not make an actual critique? But the thing is, it's not an actual Marxist critique, right? It is not only from a like semi-moralist framing, it also has a very it attacks a lot of the effects and causes, but not the root problems of it. A bit of the video is actually useful. Now, the libslop ministerial technocracy is one where I said that like I denounced Stalin and shit. I wouldn't do that nowadays, but in that time I said like, oh yeah, it's sometimes justified talking about like technocracy. I don't know why I made that video. I think it was for an essay in a political science class back in college. where we had to argue if authoritarianism is sometimes justified. And the thing with authoritarianism is it's a very loose term, and I don't really like using this because it decontextualizes everything. The video on social democracy, I need to remake it because 8 minutes is really not enough to convey the entire point. I might make another one in the future, but I think it was a pretty good expose in 8 minutes. American Obsession with Freedom, I think that was just a TikTok I made, a series of TikToks. The Libertarianism Doesn't Work, Here's Why video was written in an IKEA warehouse. And I spent a lot of time actually refining it. But again, with this thing, it's written from a very democratic socialist / reformist line where I critiqued it on a basis of not being regulated. And I think that's a very big flaw of the video, and now it has 5,000 views. Jesus, that's pretty good. We're not as selfish as you think. Same thing. Beyond Greenwashing, that was a weird video and I need to remake it somehow. Reformed Housing Crisis, that's was from last year. And then the channel kind of not blew up, but we gained a lot of traction from this. I say we because you people are an inspiration for the content I make. A lot of conversations I've had on streams and with subscribers is something that gave rise to ideas for videos. Funny enough, like one of the least viewed videos I have is How Workers First Got Union Rights. It's about Germinal. I should probably rename it because I don't think this name is fitting, but this was written during college, like 2026. Jesus, that was 5 years ago. What the fuck? Okay, yeah. Yeah. So I think the next video might be about, of course, American exceptionalism, and maybe a bit about imperialism. I have like this textbook, the ML textbook, that I want to make into a video series. There's a big part of imperialism. I also want to make an entire video on like Marxist political economy, because I think that's something that's lacking, that a lot of people misunderstand, myself included. So that means that would be a great learning tool for myself. While I made the video about dialectical materialism, I myself learned a lot of things about the history of philosophy while reading Engels and his text on Ludwig Feuerbach and Hegel. It was briefly about Hegel, but whatever the hell. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Now the chat is talking about bourgeois intelligentsia. Yeah, of course. I do think that there is a very big contradiction between gaining a lot of money from your own labor. Like, this is obviously, again, this is a class analysis. It's not a moralist analysis. If you are making YouTube videos for a living and you make a shit ton of money from this, your own labor is exploited, or you have an editor that you hire for money to make those videos for you while you talk or write. This is a petty bourgeois status, right? And with Hakeem, you got Nick, JT, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month with this collectively. And I don't know how it works, how they distribute it, but like, with being a member of a certain class, you have certain interests. Of course, you can be a class trader, but at some point, they benefit from constantly praising China. They benefit from not doing anything. They benefit from the current system being in place and constantly critiquing it. Personally, I can guarantee everyone that I won't fall into this. First of all, because when you have principles, when you actually have a proper analysis, material analysis, when you are denouncing American exceptionalism, when you are denouncing imperialism, you don't gain this much fucking traction because, like, shit. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. If you're someone like Michael Parenti, maybe you do if you're someone who makes very, very educational content that appeals to a broad audience. But you don't get to like millions of subscribers on YouTube by having educational Marxist content that isn't like cultural analysis that devolves into like the Frankfurt School of Marxism, where you just analyze stuff and don't actually advocate for revolution. And it feels like a lot of people I've seen who gain that traction without making actual cultural analysis end up being dingists and proponents of do nothing and win. Right? And yeah, on my end, let's actually look at the statistics on my own fucking channel, right? I want to be open about this. Analytics. So, as you all know, the channel is monetized. There's ads. I'm actually going to take a bit of time to look at what the ads are, because I've seen a lot of like AI generated supplement pills, and I'm not okay with those ads showing up on my shit. I know you people are smart, so you're not going to click on this, but if someone's grandma's watching my videos or somehow and gets tricked into this, or grandpa into those Tai Chi classes with supplements, I don't want that happening. So, lifetime, which is in the last 3 months, we made $52, and I can't withdraw this yet because there's $100. You need to earn $100 from YouTube before you can actually withdraw it. So yeah, in 3 months, $52.53, and yeah, this is going to fund glue, tape, posters, printing, and staples. I think that's gonna be enough for a while. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna sell out from this. And of course, we have amazing supporters on Buy Me a Coffee who like donated good sums, like $5, $10, $15. There's the goat Melly Mates, who always comments some very insightful stuff in the videos. Yeah, I really appreciate this, and just know like that I'm actually going to use this for propaganda agitation. So yeah. Now enough with this fucking shit. I hate advertising money stuff. I don't like this, but yeah, just wanted to say that, like, if I don't think it's happening, but the channel gets bigger, I'm not gonna betray my principles. You can take this my word for this. I'm not gonna fucking betray these principles. Shit, yo, what if I actually wrote something that's good, and I just printed this and binded this as a book. I don't want to publish on Amazon or whatever the hell. I don't want to use American tech. Yeah, something I do want to advertise is Socialism Now, like the Socialism Today in chat. I have a few audiobooks out on the channel, and I do need to record a few soon. But if you go to that channel, one of the most viewed videos on there is Stalin concerning the international situation, where he says the famous line, social democracy is objectively the moderate wing of fascism. And I think it's very well worth the listen. Same thing as John Thomas Murphy on the growth of social fascism in Britain. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the Cuban candidate. I'm gonna let those $50 change me. I'm going to become an American exceptionalist, and I'm gonna LARP as a revolutionary, while telling people to vote for the Liberal Party of Canada, or the NDP. If you're actually interested in like the Quebec scene regarding politics, there's resistancequebec.org, resistancequebec.org, and there's like a few anarchist collectives, and there's also the Québécois Partisan, and Le Partisan Québécois is actually like a printing house that also organizes politically against imperialism. Shit. One thing I wanted to add regarding May 1st. We had this protest where we denounced anti-immigrant rhetoric. We denounced exploitation of workers and shit here. And by we, I mean the Centrale Syndicale Nationale, the CSN, the biggest union in Quebec. They spent a good 40-minute speech, right? Might have been shorter, with many different guests, talking about these conditions in Quebec. But not a single one mentioned imperialism. Not a single one mentioned Palestine. Not a single one mentioned the Sudan. Not a single one mentioned the Congo. Not a single one mentioned the imperialist actions of the USA, which Canada is complicit in Venezuela and Cuba, in fucking everywhere. Not a single time was NATO denounced. Not a single one time was any fucking anti-imperialism mentioned. So yeah, I just found that a bit telling. Very, very telling. Ukraine flag with watermelon. Yeah. Oh, regarding Russia and Ukraine, right? Like, I've never... Actually, this is gonna sound a bit fucking stupid, but back in 2022, when I was like I've been a leftist for 2 years by that point, 4 years ago. And this was during the beginning of like the Russian offensive in Ukraine. Like I wrote an essay for a philosophy class defending Russia, with a... But it was like a weird assignment where he told us to like portray the conflict with Etienne de la Boétie and Niccolo Machiavelli. Etienne de la Boétie was talking about like voluntary servitude and like a good faith, goodwill. And Machiavelli, of course, is talking about like the harmony of egoism and like evil and shit, right? Very simplistic. I understand the philosophy much better than this, but just to put the point across. So I have to read this on stream one time because it's so fucking stupid the way I wrote this. Anyway, like, we know that the conflict started in 2014 after like NATO pushed like anti-Russia like sentiment, and they had some sort of a coup in 2014. And now Zelensky actually we're gonna go back to the fucking Donbass and Donetsk and Lugansk and all these fucking republics, separatism. I don't think there was like genocide by the Ukraine in those areas. I think that would be preposterous to assume. But something's for sure. NATO pressured against Russia, and then Russia responded with a full-scale aggression invasion, actually fucking molested and killed civilians during that offensive. Russia is an imperialist power that has interests in Africa, that has interests in like fucking Ukraine, right? And like my take during that whole time was, it's an inter-imperialist conflict. Sorry, I'm gonna support the fucking people of Ukraine getting fucking hit by this. I'm gonna support the people in Russia getting sanctioned to death, and yeah. I think materially the conditions are different, but and Russians are not fucking suffering from this. But then Zelensky came in and said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna strengthen ties with Israel, and we're gonna make Ukraine into a big Israel." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What do you mean you're gonna make Ukraine into a big Israel? What you're gonna genocide the Russian-speaking people in there, and you're gonna send them in a new Gaza in fucking Lugansk and Donetsk? What the fuck is this?" Oh, fucking god. Yeah, I think I got a very good grade, like a 95 on that assignment. I'll try to find it actually. Non, pas des terroristes. Alright, people. I didn't find it, but I did find RCP newspapers. I think there's a few articles I want to read because, not a few articles, but I want to find something that's very telling. How many words would it take to cocksuck Trotsky? Oh my god, yeah. There's an article on Charlie Kirk from the Trotskyist newspaper. I think this would be a very... Oh, it's in French. I'm sorry. It's an article by the RCA. Alright, I'm going to translate it to real time, so apologies. The murder of Charlie Kirk, evangelist, very influenced to the MAGA movement among the young conservatives in America, triggered a shockwave in the American political landscape. Kirk was an avid reactionary. We do not cry his death, but we have to affirm that his death will have reactionary consequences. Before the... Okay, I'm not gonna reading all that, but... Yeah, they're talking about like political violence and how it is justified and how the... Oh, no, this is the anti-ML color revolution in Nepal. They were dick riding the Gen Z revolutions. It was more nuanced than that. They said that it needed an actual class analysis, but no, I left the RCP way ago. They started using the Epstein class terms in like earlier this year. So, oh my god. They said weeks where decades happen. This is a graph by the RCP newspaper, right? Indonesia, Nepal, Philippines, France, Timor, Peru, Italy, Madagascar, and Morocco. But the Philippines, they don't even mention the NPA, the New People's Army. They only talk about... Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. This is 2 pages of... They got a one-piece flag, of course. Very reactionary. Framing this... What the fuck do I mean, reactionary? I was trying to say revolutionary in an ironic manner. Yeah. They're really saying how One Piece is the antithesis of doomerism. And they're talking about Luffy. I haven't watched One Piece, but I don't know what the fuck they were talking about. And yeah, right here they're talking about their own recruitment with their own table. I don't know. It always makes me think of this video where the RCP people were next to a Domino's pizza stand where there was a cheap pizza, and like everyone came to the Domino's pizza shit, but no one came to the RCP stand. Yeah. This is what these people don't understand, right? Like they're mobilizing to an only like college students, this audience in college campuses, with this revolution communist thing. They don't realize we're not in a revolutionary movement. What we do need is to build the working class as a political power, and for that, you need to have not explicitly communist, but like working class worker council organizations that can actually do work on the ground, like front organizations for the Communist Party. That's something that's very lacking in the strategy. Not that they want revolution, right? They are getting hundreds of dollars a year for their general secretariat in the UK. Why do I have 3 copies of those? I don't fucking know. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Are you ready for the best piece of theory you've ever seen? Generally, one of my favorite journals ever. You know how the RCP sells like those newspapers in shit paper for $5 every month? This is a 1 year $20 copy of the Railroad, of the NCBC. I got it just because I thought this looked cool. Like don't look at this and tell me this is not absolutely fucking tough. This is insanely fucking tough. And like in this, they denounce Trotskyists, they denounce revisionist Marxists, and they have a lot of these very nice images and pages and shits. Yeah, I like it. Only thing is like they had barely anything to write in it. I mean, barely anything. It's 200 pages. But I did learn a lot about this one time in Canada where the Communist Party organized workers to hop on those fucking trains to to do a march in Ottawa, where they marched on the Capitol to claim better worker rights in 1930. Yeah. Stalinist revolutionaries. No. I'm talking about the NCPC thing right here, where they denounce Trotskyists and revisionist Marxists. But yeah, the RCP does they don't use the term revisionist because they know deep down that they are the revisionists, but they denounce everything as Stalinism and bureaucrat shit. Like, like, look at how tough these Bolshevik guards in the 1919 were. Focus is very shit, but you get the idea. What other pictures are cool? Yeah, the Quebec Common Front right here, where the people from the syndical movement, the CSN, Centrale Syndicale Nationale, were influenced by the Chinese Maoists. Before the Nixon shit with Mao, but like the 60s and 70s in Quebec, this was during like the global 60s, right? It was absolutely fucking awesome for the communist movement in the imperial core, right? The USSR went down this revisionist pipeline, and China after that had their full and fucking capitalist restoration. But goddamn, I'm sorry, it's so tough. It's so fucking tough. Oh yeah. For them, China is Stalinist because nothing is more Stalinist and central planning and anti-fascist than trading with Israel and arming the Indian and Filipino states against the Maoist insurgents. True anti-imperialist shit. I'll be right back again. I need to find another fucking thing to talk about because why not? I want to live up, list a few things I want to make videos about, and I want you all to tell me if you do want a video series on that. There are 26 chapters to this book, and I will be sure to remove the Khrushchevite elements from this. Yeah. Like, the Principles of Marxism-Leninism, this book, they started writing it as Stalin died, and, well, or even before that, and they finished writing it during de-Stalinization under Khrushchev. So, there's parts of it, like, in the beginning that are good, and then it gradually becomes worse, and they revised it in the second edition to remove the bad parts. The dialectical materialism part I covered in another video. They went about the materialist conception of history and dialectical materialism, and like that was 4 chapters, about 140 pages, and I don't think I did a good enough job at explaining it in the other video I made last time, right? I'm probably gonna fucking let it be, but whatever. Oh yeah. Trotskyists absolutely do call everything Stalinism. Everything they disagree with, at least. Stalinism, and they say they're Marxist and Leninist, but they never use the term Marxist-Leninist. They use the term Trotskyist. Okay, so I think a series on class analysis, or a video on class analysis would be good. Revolution and social progress covered in another video. Actually, social progress itself and the visions of progressivism versus the ACP chuds. I think that would be a very great video, critiquing MAGA communism and shit while staying in the framework of social progress under socialism. Chapter 7 from this. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. It's like a 10-page document, and I would actually like to apply this. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. I'm gonna put it in my notebook. Yeah, I engaged in what Iris from the Bad Mouse stream. Was it Bad Mouse? I streamed with Iris once, and not Bad Mouse, the other guy. Was it Bad Mouse? I don't know. So what you would say is petit bourgeois Trotskyism, aka buy a nice notebook. I bought a traveler's notebook because it's fucking insane, right? There's Midori paper from Japan. Awesome writing experience. I love paper, right? We have chads who are heavily into this technology and the computers and shit, with the computer parts sourced with cobalt from fucking child slave mines in there. We're out there promoting paper. Because as we all know, there's nothing more revolutionary than the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. Those who know. Anyway, all right. Where the fuck did I put this? Anyway, I'll do it later. So social progress would be a good idea. The video of imperialism and the current phase stage of imperialism, right, would be good. So class analysis, imperialism, social progress, that's 3 video ideas. I don't think I'm gonna do history videos, but yeah, anti-colonialism. I think that's what would be interesting here. Proletarian democracy and the dictatorship of the proletariat. I think that's like 4 or 5 good videos for there. Yeah. In there's also a good section on communism. Like the final vision of communism, where from each according to his ability, to each according to his work, becomes from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. When will a class society have been abolished? We go to this second stage. Yeah, so that's like 5 video ideas. Social progress, I think, would be a very good idea, because I did make this stream on the ACP, and I spent my entire time calling him a chud and a reactionary, but I didn't really critique anything, right? When we make arguments like this, it's important to be actually principled and to have structured arguments. And I think it came across on my end as a little bit, not just misinformed, but just like a barrage of ad hominems without actually adding any substance. And I do think Notes in the chat criticized me for this, and I think it was very warranted. I didn't argue my point well enough, and I know there's a lot of people who probably follow the channel who might have some sympathies for the ACP regarding them actually fucking organizing with people with guns and shit instead of LARPing, though a lot of them are LARPers. Anyway, I got sidetracked, but the only thing I want to mention about this framing is I didn't attack the principal point of their mega-communism thing being social progress. And I do think it's important, to meet workers where they're at, but it negates the fact that a lot of workers, most workers actually, are socially progressive in the USA and in Canada regarding like queer rights, queer issues. And I don't think it's important to like put those issues at the center, but just to not fucking be bigoted to those people. It's like I'm excluding myself. I include myself. I'm bi, and yeah. There's still work to be done for queer rights, right? But I do think ending capitalism and ending American imperialism is the way to go. My main issue, though, was not with the ACP. It was an issue, but my main issue was that they run on this MAGA communism and this patriotic socialism thing, where they don't recognize indigenous struggles. They don't recognize decolonization or land back or anything. For them, it's about spreading American values, and it's like they want to reform the American state into this this like Russian Duginist fascist fucking state. I don't like their positions on this, right? Yeah, a dictatorship of the lumpen proletariat. That's fucking crazy. Awesome. So yeah, that's how I want to structure this video. That would be very good, actually. Class analysis would be very good too, because Railroad, the NCPC pamphlet, 200 pages, but has a good class analysis regarding Canada. Actually, you know what? I might have babbled. Fuck, I hate when I speak without having like 100% certainty. I'm just gonna go back to the comment section. Comments. Oh my god. Yeah, there was this guy in the comment section calling me a Trotskyist over and over again. Like Chris Hansub, because you know the ACP section, the ACP video where Has ranked Pol Pot as an A-tier communist leader. Chris Hansub commented, "There's no LARP stronger than putting Pol Pot in A-tier on the communist tier list." And then Notes and Notes commented, "What? No, I just got here," because I think she thought that I did that. And then Chris Hansub responded, "Don't worry, it was an ACP guy, not Charlitics." And I said, "And this is how we uphold Jugendism, Pol Potism, Dingism, Leon Trotsky thought." Painful thing to type. And then this guy, Supreme, commented, "You restarted glasses wearer. You will work the fields." I can't read without my glasses. Fuck. And then he said, "You are a Trotskyist. You are a Galore Trot CIA agent." And then Gwynblade 1970 commented, "He's an ML doofus." And then Supreme Commenter said, "No, he's a Trotskyist." And then he said, "No, you're a Trotskyist." Glassware response, "You are a Trotskyist." I think bro was like just fucking rage baiting. It was very funny. Oh yeah, I don't think you were shilling for the ACP, but you commented, was it the ACP who were redirecting people to vote for Democrats, or maybe that was the CPUSA? And I think that's a very great critique, though. Like the ACP were not shilling for the Democrats; they were shilling for Russian oligarchs. Sorry, but yeah, the CPUSA is fucking corrupt to the bone. I think if we're gonna critique the ACP, might as well just critique the CPUSA for their revisionist tendencies. Yeah, I responded revisionist versus revisionist. Yeah. This was a very hilarious shit. Well, I mean, we could all be principled and uphold the greatest ideology of all time, Hojaism, Posidism. We're going to build nuclear bunkers everywhere across North America. And of course, not Albania, because Great Albania has already 5,000 fucking nuclear bunkers in Tirana. But we're gonna build those nuclear bunkers, and then the aliens are coming to us, and they're gonna teach us communism to everyone. They're gonna teach us communism, and they're gonna kill all the Yakubians. So Charlitics gone, boom, obliterated, annihilated. No Charlitics, only the non-Yakubians, and they're gonna be taught communism by the aliens. And this is how we're going to then emerge out of this nuclear war. Right, because the aliens, by teaching us communism, they're also going to nuke Israel, and they're going to nuke the USA, except the good parts. And they're going to nuke Germany and France and the UK. And if they're going to nuke the UK, they might as well just spare the North Korean embassy and the Friends of Korea agency, because they're a bit less Yakubian. And also they're going to teach the North Koreans the non-Yakubian communist ideology. Yeah. Poor Yakubians, bro. What the fuck is happening here? I'm getting pinged over and over again regarding a Rubik's Cube decision, right? Sidetracking myself. This is a Rubik's Cube. And usually we solve it with starting with a cross, and then we do the first 2 layers, and then we do the last layer. and we were arguing over the best colors, right? You have a bunch of white supremacists who only do the white cross. I myself do white and yellow. And then we were arguing over what is the best color to learn next. Green, blue, red, or orange. And I was arguing that red is actually the best color, and another person said orange, and now there's a civil war going on. Yeah, Marxism is a real thing, but it's not like I just strawmanned it. It's an offshoot of Trotskyism, right, in Argentina. There was some weird UFO and alien stuff where Mr. Posadas, I think he was tweaking, but it's not as crazy as I make it seem to be. I'm exaggerating, of course, for the sake of the chat. Yeah. Two-legged aubergine. I'm half Yakubian. How will I be distributed post-revolution? This is a very interesting point. Half of you will be annihilated with radium, right? Radium will disintegrate you with nuclear radiation. Half of you will be gone. The other non-Yakubian part of you will become a communist taught by the aliens, and you will live as a half human, half man, not Tyrion Lannister, another type of half man, the other way around, in a nuclear bunker, where you're going to teach communism to your kids as well. I think that is very principled. God. If any non-communist sees this, you're gonna think I'm a crazy person. Yeah. So a vertical half man living in a nuclear bunker teaching communism to your kids after the aliens taught you this. I'm not one to be ableist, but I sound schizophrenic as fuck right now. I'm sorry. Now, I want to talk a bit about Franz Kafka. There is a great passage from the trial, which I want to translate. Where there's like, you know how in the trial he gets accused of a crime he didn't commit, or he's not actually accused of any crime, right? He wakes up and there's like a guy from the court at his house saying he's arrested, and he never actually tells him why. He never knows why he's arrested, and then there's a lot of events that happen. And then, you know, there's a clique of advocates, he calls them, like defense attorneys, who have this small office in the Court of Law building. And the Court of Law building is not actually designed by any sign. He never gets told where it is. He just finds it in the neighborhood. And it's like this big, fifth story of a 5-story building, right? The 4 other stories are inhabited by working class people living in abhorrent conditions. So he gets to this fucking court of law thing, and after the third time, right, or whatever the fuck, the narrator, we don't know who the narrator is. It's probably Franz Kafka, whatever the fuck. He tells us of a story where the 5 advocates, the defense attorneys, they don't really have a recognized role by the court of law, which we don't know what the court of law is. It's very nebulous. Their actions are not actually taken into account by the court. And like, there's this part where he says like, these attorneys, they have to be balls in hand with the state, the court of law, and they can't actually affect any change. And there was this point where the defense attorneys were going to, they had to climb up a flight of stairs to get to the court. And one fine morning, the court magistrate was like, I'm just not going to let the defense attorneys in. And he just pushed them one by one down the flight of stairs. And they all broke bones and shit. All the defense attorneys, they kept climbing up and then getting pushed down by the court magistrate. And so at one point, the court magistrate got very tired of pushing the people, the attorneys, down the flight of stairs. And so he goes back to his office, and then they actually get into court. And when they actually do argue for their client, they can't actually argue anything for their client because the client doesn't know what he's accused of. The court doesn't tell him what he's accused of. And so yeah. What the fuck do I even talking about this? Because they can't actually affect any change. They have a nonsensical system where people are. It's kind of like the myth of Sisyphus, right? Where he's forced to push a ball for years and years on end, and that's his fucking goal. And at the end, we have to. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Like one must imagine these defense attorneys happy, but really they're not doing fucking anything meaningful. What the fuck am I talking about? Why am I talking about this? Because it feels like the political landscape here, right? You have all these politicians and these candidates and the electorate too that are always talking about we need to affect change, we need to change, we need to change, we need to challenge the system in place, and they always, without a single exception, end up just reproducing the system itself, reproducing the status quo, and with years falling into the same pro status quo mindset as the rest of them. I am half Yakubian, half true black cell. Do I get superpowers? Yeah, if you're a half Yakubian, half true black cell, fuck. I think that means you can create yourself more white people, more crackers. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So the trial is liberals LARPing as radicals. Yeah, why is Yakuba on the thumbnail? Very good explanation for this. It is because I am a creation of Yakub, right? I am a North American, a Quebecois, living in Canada, the great country, the great North, strong and free, Canada for the intimates. We are creations of Yakub, right? And so, as quote unquote leftists and quote unquote progressives, we have to ensure left unity, right? By voting, right? Voting is the only viable form of political activism for war criminals like Graham Plattner. That's the only way we're going to achieve left unity. And if you think otherwise, you're a CIA plant. This is why I am with an AK-47 in hand with Graham Plattner and with Yakub. We are a trifecta, we are a squad or a trio of anti-capitalist revolutionaries, right? Of course, this is all a big LARP, and the original thumbnail was me with an AK-47 facing Plattner, but I decided it was better optics to not get banned from YouTube. But yeah, if you're in the Bad Empanada Discord server, then you can see the magnificent first edition of this thumbnail. Yakubians are human. No. That's the thing. I'm a Yakubian. I'm a Canadian. I'm a Quebecois colonizer, and the only redemption I can have is through actual revolution. And right now, there's no redemption because I live a lofty lifestyle and I try to organize for revolution, but right, we're not in revolutionary period, so we are mobilizing whatever we can, and yeah, fuck. The trick is to not fear getting arrested or sent to jail for activism, right? If you fear getting arrested, then your activism it doesn't carry any force. I disagree with Bad Empanada on a lot of shit. That's the thing. Like, I'm not a third worldist. I think that disincentivizes any action. But regarding Americans and American exceptionalism and a lot of those takes, I do agree with. But he's not a like necessarily principled Marxist-Leninist on these issues. But on Palestine, he's been fucking impeccable. VZ58, of course. I'm sorry, I don't know my fucking guns. But yeah. It's just some rifle they handed us at the nuclear bunker in Czechia. It's all a big LARP. It wasn't a gun that was that we could shoot or whatever the fuck, right? It was, of course, not loaded, and the barrel was stuck. Yeah. So, like, Ben and Benedict's takes regarding like revolution was like, oh, people in the global north should move to the global south and incite revolution, and I'm like, I don't think that's a viable option for most people. Like, I think organizing here is still possible, but you need to be like principled anti-imperialist for sure. Myself, I learned a lot from Bada Panada on actual pressing issues. Like, here's video on American exceptionalism are great. His video on Manifest Destiny is absolutely fucking incredible. Yeah. But regarding like other stuff, I disagree with him. Yeah, his video I see on the Holodomor is very, very insightful. Hmm. He didn't praise the ACP though. I don't think he ever did that. He has a video coming on Haz soon on how fucking stupid he is. The path forward, right? I don't know what the fucking path forward is. I'm sorry. No, I have a few videos out on the revolution stuff, but for me, the path forward is like, I'm gonna talk for myself, right? Myself, myself, and I. Huh? This guy hasn't read Anti-Yank Aktion by the Communist Party of the Philippines. Mass work, just working with some comrades, doing mass work, working the masses to spread class consciousness, and engaging in actual direct action whenever some spring up. And yeah. I don't think we're at the point of armed struggle in Canada, but I do think later this year I want to go to kilometer 134 to support Indigenous comrades in their fight against the how do you call it, the fucking logging industry, right? Thing is, the logging industry sends people to this the Chemin Parent to completely raise native lands without any fucking permits, with the permission of the provincial and federal governments. And it's a bit of the same thing that you get in Israel or in occupied Palestine, where you have people from the West, white people, who are un-Jewish, or even Jews, who go to those settler colonies and act as like shields for Palestinians. I don't know if it's like white savior complex shit, but if our presence can make a difference against this fucking colonizer entity, then so fucking be it. Then we'll go support the struggle. If you're in the region, like of Quebec or Montreal is closer. Maybe go check out Robert Echaquan. Yeah, regarding the DSA, I don't think that the DSA is like worse than the ACP. I do think like if someone joins the DSA, right, and goes there and talks to people, not actually engaging in any of their Democrat work, just fucking going there, meeting people, and recruiting them into like actual fucking principal parties, not the CPUSA, not anything like that. I don't know what organizations the US has. Maybe the American Party of Labor. But ultimately, do I don't think like the Cubans in the USA are gonna make much of a difference. Same thing with here. Like a lot of workers, white workers, um, are in very great conditions and don't have any class consciousness whatsoever. I do see like the most marginalized parts of the USA rising up. Something I don't like about like Bada Empanada is the generalization of all Americans. Like when I talk about American exceptionalism and all Americans, when I'm talking about Grand Planner, of course, I'm generalizing, of fucking course, because the vast majority of Americans behave like this. But like new immigrants who come in and are immediately targeted by the immigration police, the Gestapo, who and like marginalized, very poor, like people of color in like very working class backgrounds, poor white workers. At the end of the day, class analysis is important, but the vast majority, I'd say, of the American working class is benefits from imperialism, and there's a section of it that has revolutionary consciousness, that's for sure. But yeah, I guess we're gonna need to see things, well, material conditions like go down massively from the destruction of the American hegemony. If supply chains are destroyed and people have their privileges like challenged in the global north, I think that might be able to make a difference. Like you see the point to which like people get riled up and angry at the government and the state and the system itself when gas prices go up. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the MIM is. What is the MIM? Can you guys stop using acronyms when the groups aren't known? Well, that's like me using the NCPC even though their website is not listed on the Google search results. MIM communism. Oh, the Maoist internationalist movements? I don't fucking know. Michigan. I don't know what this is about. Yeah, I think his take on Black America is due to his interaction with FD signifier. I do think he's projecting FD signifier on all Black Americans. Like, what I would fucking love to see is the resurgence of the Black Panther Party. That would be fucking incredible. People's Protective War all over America. Like they did make some significant gains, even though they were imperfect. Like I'm not gonna start like shitting on Black Panthers for having a line that differs from like the perfect marxism-leninism, right? Yeah. And yeah, regarding bad impact, like fuck, like at the end of the day, good good anti-imperialist stakes, actually mobilizing against Zionism, but like he's an Australian guy in Argentina on the internet. Actually, impactful activism is done on the ground. This YouTube channel, I have no fucking ambitions for it other than educating people on the internet. The actual work is on the ground, being in the masses, talking with the masses, mobilizing with the masses, and doing agitprop, building second powers. Yeah. Thank you, Roblox Deco 2465. Mass murders are indeed bad. Yeah. But I do think we need to go back to the 1970s in Quebec, at least, like actions that the FLQ did. Actually, fuck, I can't say anything without ending up on a fucking list, but whatever. So be it. So be it. Yeah. No, I think it's a pretty hot take to say mass murders are bad. What about Israel? They're just defending themselves. Roblox Deco with the ice cold takes. Bad and Banana is good. Marxism-leninism is better. Yeah, of course. One thing I'll say is BE made one video on Anarch and he absolutely fucking clowned him. This was the funniest video I've ever seen. Actually, no, the Persephone Vanderwoord video made me cackle. I was crying laughing. And then it happened to me too. And I was like, what the fuck? Who is this person? Is this for real? And then BE made a video on Anarch after I made mine on his video on Marxism-leninism doesn't work. They are lying to you. And one thing Bad and like found is that the methodology that like Anarch uses is fucking stupid. Like, not only like I mentioned this too. Like, he uses Wikipedia lists and an Excel spreadsheet to calculate what is a failed Marxist-Leninist state and failure rate. And it includes states that just changed their name while staying Marxist-Leninist. It includes states that were never socialist or just had one socialist party in them. And Marxist-Leninist failure rates also includes like fucking Ibrahim Traore getting shot and fucking betrayed by his friend, and Burkina Faso getting cocked by the imperialists. So he's blaming Marxism-Leninism for the imperialists. He was also saying that Marxism-Leninism doesn't work because it gets destroyed by he was saying, anarchism works, it just gets destroyed by the imperialists. Like, that's the same fucking thing we say for Marxism-Leninism, and this time he doesn't. I meant Thomas Sankara, not Ibrahim Traore. Sorry. It's just because in my head I had the guy who betrayed Sankara in my head, Compaoré. In my head it was resembling Traore, and I mixed them up. Sorry. Does this mean I did a racism? And so I saw the last fucking video by Ben Benada regarding Anarch. He found an absolute gem. Anarch making a video saying that American soldiers undergo indentured servitude, where they're effectively slaves in a contract, and therefore they're not included in ACAB, and they're slaves. Anarch legitimately thinks that American soldiers who enlist in the army to kill people, are slaves. And he, of course, equates American soldiers with people from colonized country. Because for him, hierarchy is hierarchy, and it doesn't matter. A state is a state. Even when the state in question is, has an army fighting against American imperialism. Like, yeah. Of course, I apologize. I'm a Yakubian confusing black people together. So yeah. What I wanted to say initially was Thomas Sankara getting betrayed by his former comrade Compaoré, and then Burkina Faso's experiments getting or anti-imperialist gains getting completely fucking screwed over. And now the thing with Ibrahim Traore right now, did y'all fucking see what's happening? IMF loan for $100 million. I read the headline, I thought I was shitting myself. What the fuck is bro doing? with a 100 million IMF loan, where they also looked at the policies he's taking. I hope that it doesn't evolve into this fucking thing. But again, yeah, Sankara 10 times more of a goat than Traore. I'm sorry. And now this is what? The USA just sent a fucking missile, a Hellfire missile they call it, on a Gambian ship that was trying to dock into Iran. Netanyahu to hold a security meeting with Israeli officials. What the fuck is a Hellfire missile? Alright, anti-armor. They just killed a bunch of fucking people on a commercial ship, on the Gambian ship. Of course, because that's what the USA does. They kill people. Yeah. And so these are the enlisted US soldiers who willingly signed up to the US military to kill people in Iran. Alright. What the fuck is the ICMLPO? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with a lot of these. Oh my god, the CIPOML. Oh yeah, the International Conference of Marxist-Leninist Parties. One thing I saw that really baffled me. So, where is it? Brazil. Yeah, the RCP, the Revolutionary Communist Party in Brazil, is Marxist-Leninist, Hojaist. They have 300,000 members. That's fucking crazy, right? 300,000 members. I hope they can be a viable political power in Brazil, but yeah. It's good to know that the RCP in Brazil is an actual Marxist-Leninist party and not the Trotsahor. What do I think about the Cuban situation? God damn it. The USA is caca. Caca. Complete fucking caca, you know? I don't know what's happening in Cuba right now. Nothing in the news is talking about what's happening. Is there a deal? I know they tried to inculp Raul Castro to warrant an invasion. I hope they're not gonna fucking invade Cuba, but like something's to know that the Cuban military is much more capable than the Venezuelan military. 4% of GDP versus 0.4 or 2.5. What's actually gonna happen? I don't know. News.google.com. Is there something on Al Jazeera regarding this? I don't know. Oh my god. Gang, it's another L for Karl Kautsky and his ultra-imperialism, as the US and the EU are still fucking arguing with each other. I want to see the US out of NATO. That would fucking ridiculous. That would be hilarious. Like, Pete Hegseth is yapping. He wants Europe to embark on this war against Iran. He really wants it. It's fucking ridiculous. Oh, but again, during all this imperialist shit show, TVA News, Quebec media, is reassuring us that the situation is going to get better because ice cream is cheaper in Quebec than in other parts of Canada. Of course. Everything is better because here we pay $5.19 for an ice cream cone, and in Calgary they pay $6.03. This is the most pressing issue of our time, that there is an inequality between the other parts of Canada and Quebec regarding ice cream prices. Veganism, I think it's the correct take, right? To oppose industrial scale capitalist exploitation of animals. I'm a vegetarian myself. I wouldn't fucking. But one thing that I fucking hate is these fucking vegans who shit on vegetarians for not going far enough yet, and these vegans who shit on indigenous people for hunting. Like, these Yakubians can shut the fuck up. But I do think, like, of course, capitalism needs to be done away with. This is the primary contradiction. But to curb climate change further during post-revolution, meat consumption has to go down. And also, I fucking love tofu, bro. It's cheap. It's a blank canvas. You can season it with whatever the fuck you want. Full of a protein. I fucking love tofu, dude. And like, I don't like cows being artificially inseminated with like to make milk. And I still consume it. I see the contradiction, the moral contradiction here. I do prefer oat milk. Yeah. What I'm gonna say about veganism is that I am a soy boy. I am a soy boy. 100% a soy boy. Soy boy. I'm gonna actually try to find Cuba. Okay. Ish. Okay. There's a news from La Presse. It's a Québécois outlet that says high-ranking military and American and Cubans met at Guantanamo Bay. They had a positive meeting. Yeah, Donald Trump is doing the same shit, you know, as John F. Kennedy and with Eisenhower, where they just said, yeah, Cuba is an extraordinary threat to the USA, even though they're a fucking anti-imperialist nation, 150 kilometers from the coast. Fuck. Notably because there's like going on about the communist government. The media is fear-mongering about a fucking island nation resisting the US. It's crazy. Beijing is saluting Cuban resistance, but just fucking help them militarily then. And now Narco Rubio is still fucking yapping. Fucking hell. The daughter of Raul Castro said there might be something similar to what happened with the president of Venezuela getting kidnapped by the USA. Oh, nuts and notes. Yeah, I am allergic to soy milk. Apparently, it's the same allergen as like how do you call them? Am I fucking stupid? Des bouleaux. Un boulot blanc. Un boulon blanc. A white. Fucking hell. I fucking hate English. Boulot blanc en anglais. A birch tree. Yeah, a birch tree. Apparently it's a similar origin between birch and soy milk, like the unprocessed soy. Like if I consume edamame, it's fine. If I consume tofu, it's fine. Tofu pudding, like soft tofu, it's fine. But soy milk, I get a burning sensation in my throat, and it's, I don't know. Seitan is very good as well. Beans and lentils and shit are also very good. Yeah. Yeah, regarding radical environmentalism and eco-terrorism. Okay, if I do tell my honest opinion and a personal experience, I will get banned or arrested. So, do with that what you will. I heavily condone it, but I do think there is a need to actually, well, first of all, if we destroy currently harmful projects, right? For example, there's the Stablex plant that is destroying fucking indigenous lands and poisoning people. Fucking sabotage them. I don't fucking care. They're a nuisance. People should absolutely sabotage AI data centers. Why not? People should fucking sabotage warehouses. Sabotage and disruption is one way to fight back, but people need to be principled. People need to actually organize into like a principled communist party, right? We need to organize the working class into a political power. So if you're gonna do adventurism or actually direct action, adventurism is something that's okay. We're gonna set something straight. Adventurism is terrorism or direct action that's disconnected from the masses. A lot of eco-terrorism or direct action, like what happened at Stablex. If you speak French or understand French, go on tout.tv and search for Stablex, les déchets de la discorde. There's a documentary about activism at Stablex. And like this was an event that was heavily connected to the masses. People from the local community engaging in sabotage and destruction, right? Direct action against this company. And it actually mobilized the media to expose them. Like the bourgeois media exposed them because they know damn right that it's dangerous to the maintenance of the product or whatever the fuck, to poison an entire fucking city. And also like it's a state media. It has some degree of like independence. So they made an actual documentary that was quote unquote objective. What do you want? Oh. He wants attention as always. So yeah, actions that are heavily connected to the masses and make an actual impact. Like for example, blowing up an Israeli weapons manufacturer. It's not adventurism, right? It's actual direct action that has a material impact on the genocide in Gaza. Disrupting a supply chain. Yeah? So, I don't know if you guys saw Our Changing Climate. I feel a bit bad for the guy. He puts like hundreds of thousands of hours, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds of hours into his animations, and he get barely any views for his subscribe count. Our Changing Climate. Big. No. This guy has 500,000 subscribers, and his series has like 20,000 views a video. It's kind of sad. Like the environmentalists who destroyed $100 million, Earth Liberation Front, very good video. How environmentalists became the FBI's number one threat. That's also a good video. But yeah, so we have to be careful too with what we call adventurism, because a lot of action that's connected to the masses, direct action, is actually worth doing. but it shouldn't be the main fucking thing. You shouldn't do like what the FLQ did, was where the guy planted bombs in Westmount to because he thought it would be an act that would get the masses on his side. It didn't. It just alienated the party from the people. I love this fucking guy. Look at him. Look at him. Alright. You're gonna get your food soon, little bro. مين علم هي فلسطين عربية. And on that side, yeah, no, adventurism, terrorism, bad. I would never do it. Never in a million years, right? I would also never organize or join a communist party. I would never do any actual anti-capitalist activism, and I wholeheartedly support Israel and the Liberal Party of Canada, right? Can the media clip this and post this everywhere so I don't go to jail? For real. I do see the threat in like an upsurge in surveillance. Fuck. Tree spiking too, yeah. Other forms of like direct action is especially indigenous struggles, right? A lot of it is like still ongoing colonialism. So if we are going out of our way to like sabotage their operations, it actually does make a material impact and helps local communities to actually defend their lands against the colonizers. And I don't think that's adventurism. All right, I think, yeah, I have not and I will not never be a member of a communist party, of course. I'm gonna say this to the Israeli interrogators. All right, so I think the stream has gone on for long enough. I'm gonna have to go soon. If you haven't already, leave a like so the algorithm picks up the video and distributes it to the people of YouTube, the Yakubians, and the non-Yakubians. And yeah, I'm gonna get started right away with the video on the video on social progress and MAGA communism, right? Then the video on imperialism, the class analysis, and whatever the hell I noted regarding that Principles of Marxism-Leninism book. And I was also wondering if you guys would be interested in a series explaining Marxism-Leninism. I know that like Marxist Paul has a series. Not too sure. The British Lenin. Oh my god, yeah. Something I wanted to fucking I'll be right fucking back. This is my first copy of Capital by Karl Marx. It's a fucking brick, right? This one is 1,200 pages long. That's not that much, actually. Jesus. So, back in high school, we had a choice between history of the Russian Revolution, right? Of course, there was a very anti-communist propagandist class, and the economics class. And I took the economics class back then. This was in like 12th grade, I think, or our equivalent in Quebec. 11th. We don't have 12th grade, secondary 5. And in that class, I always came there to read Capital. I managed to get through chapter 1 within that few months. And Capital volume 1, sorry. Chapter 1 and 3, right? Oh, this is chapter 8. I finished chapter 8. And I kept going over and over it again. And I brought it to another few classes as well. And we we also had an ethics class where I always argued for socialism and against capitalism. And I went to a Catholic school where, like, people were pretty right-wing usually, but a lot of people were sympathetic to those views. And in that ethics class, I was like very, very mobilized against capitalism, right? And at the actual graduation ceremony, it was during the pandemic, so we were outside in like fucking Adirondack chairs. And there was a screen where the professor, the teachers, sorry, were talking about some exceptional students or some students that were like special to them or whatever the fuck. I don't know. And a few people were mentioned, and then my ethics teachers goes on the camera and says, "Hey, Charles, you will be remembered as Little Lenin." She called me Little Lenin. I was fucking 17, and I got called Little Lenin, and I thought it was very funny. Sorry, my cat keeps, like, he got his food served by the robot. He has a lot of food pellets. He takes one food pellet, he brings it out of the bowl onto the ground, and then he has to eat it over the ground. He can't just eat on his fucking bowl. So, yeah, on that note, yeah, my reading plan for this summer, I'm gonna read the Frantz Fanon I have right here, and then I'm gonna get through the rest of Anti-During. I need to make a video on Anti-During too. That would be very great. And then I'm going to read the entirety of Capital this summer. If I don't, then I'm an utter fucking failure. Yeah, I have like 4 copies of it. It's fucking crazy. Why do I have this? Yeah. I'm also going to annotate it. I think that's going to be useful. Yeah. Honestly, for regarding religion, right? I am Québécois. In the 60s, we have okay, I'm gonna restart this first. I am Québécois. Our nation, as a colonizer nation, right? We started as New France, Nouvelle France, and our ancestors came to this land. And this was a very extractivist type of colonialism, not manifest destiny, a type of colonialism where the colonists came here to trade with the natives to have furs and shit like that. There were massacres. It was brutal colonialism, of course. But it was this type of like Catholic feudalism where they didn't really want to industrialize. And so the Catholic church had like this omniscient control over society. Up until even the 1950s, in every town you had this priest who would control what people did. He would come into houses and he would prevent people from dancing, from singing, from actual. Viens-t'en, c'est chaud. Peeper. So, like, we have been, as a nation, dominated by the Catholic Church. This is not to talk about like a colonized status. This is only about the status of the Catholic Church. Not only did the Catholic Church play the determinant role in the genocide of Native people here in Canada through residential boarding schools, it also played a counter-revolutionary role. If you people didn't know, in the 1940s, 1950s, we had a prime minister in Quebec called Maurice Duplessis. And Maurice Duplessis enforced a ban on a lot of books that were anti-Catholic Church, that were for progressive ideas. He enacted a ban on communism. He discriminated against Jews during the Holocaust, right? Our government here in Quebec was very, very close to fascism under Maurice Duplessis. He had personal convictions that were very close to Adolf Hitler, but combined with a very odd view of Catholicism. He did a lot of voter fraud where he would only construct good infrastructure in districts and boroughs that voted for him. And he made sure that the Catholic Church had the power there. It was a very fucked up time. And so in the 60s, we had the Quiet Revolution. It was an odd moment where we had a lot of communist upsurge and syndicalist upsurge with the FLQ and stuff like that. And so the Quiet Revolution was a rebellion, notably against the Catholic Church's domination over our society. So my personal take is that organized religion is insanely oppressive. It brings us away from revolutionary consciousness. It is eclectic idealism. It is anti-materialist. It is an oppressive institution. Our like hundreds of thousands of children in Canada were molested by executives of the church, like priests, nuns. It's a very violent part of the past and current. So I don't respect domination of organized religion over society. Of course, I think individuals should be allowed to practice whatever religion they want. I don't think churches should be tax exempt or whatever the fuck. But regarding like revolutionary theology or liberation theology, I'm not educated enough on this to have a say. I think it can be useful. Like, fuck the Catholic Church, of course. I don't know what you think I'm downplaying by talking about the First Nations. I repeated multiple times throughout the stream that I am for active fucking resistance against the colonial state. And I think that's straight up lying about what I've said in the past on this channel about indigenous liberation. I think the colonial state should be fucking abolished. Capitalist relations have to fucking go away. Us of the descendants of colonizers and actual active colonizers, because the colonial project is still around, have to have this privilege revoked, and reparations have to fucking happen. And reparations don't mean shit if the system itself is not changed. We do not have the ability to meaningfully enact reparations if we still uphold the capitalist system in Canada. Same thing goes for the US. So yeah, I wholeheartedly support fucking anti-colonial struggles. I don't know about like I don't know about black Christian churches in the US. That's not what I've ever looked into. I have the only thing about Catholicism or Christianity I know is every interactions I've had with Christians has been either negative or odd or strange. Of course, I could be proven wrong by some individuals, but like I don't think the church is a force for good. I'm sorry, but why would we abandon Marxism-leninism? It is the only the only revolutionary doctrine that has worked. What do you mean abandon it? That's fucking insane. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go because I'm gonna run out of time. Actually, give it 10 more minutes. Hello, kitty. Yada. What if we hit the 3-hour mark? Okay. So to recap all of this stream, right? Rare. Why do you come in the office just to do this every time? Ah, no, baby. Little baby. So to recap everything on this stream, the Graham-Plattner left is fucking insane. American exceptionalists are the same as Zionists. Fucking revolutionary consciousness is very hard to go and bring on about. Yeah. Marxism-leninism, Maoism. I'm still not sure what we define by Mao Zedong thought or Maoism, or however it's always distinguished between all these things. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna make something about Maoism. I do read a bit of Mao from there time to time. I like the NCPC, which is a Marxist-Leninist Maoist organization. And that's pretty much the only principal organization other than the CPCML. But principles don't mean shit if you're impossible to contact for people. Yeah. So yeah, to wrap everything up, I'm going to just go back to this fucking text again, because where is this? Okay, so upcoming on the channel, a class analysis in the role of popular masses, social progress and MAGA communism, imperialism, maybe political economy, and yeah. National liberation, perhaps. I want to do a proper national liberation and video on the Quebec national question. Maybe that would be a video made in French. Yeah. Do we do a Rubik's Cube solve before we leave? I think that would be a good idea. During this, I'm going to talk about how the Rubik's Cube is a proletarian pilled instrument. No, for real, something that I wanted to talk about for a while is how, like, the World Cube Association, the association in charge of like Rubik's Cube competition, is like an example of this is bullshit. How we can actually organize ourselves without any fucking profit motive, right? We're all, like, I'm a World Cube Association delegate. We do our task, our duties, and we organize competitions simply for the fun, for the sake of the fun. And we even have, I just switched it to the corner by accident. We even have organization that organize competition in areas which are isolated. There were a few competitions organized in Cuba, and a lot of competitions organized in Global South. Like, and the only thing, the only problem here is that the World Cube Association is a US non-profit. So it has to comply with US sanctions and US policy. That was an 8.5. Yahoo! So right now there cannot be any World Cuba Association competitions in Russia. There are some in China, but a lot of them are with other systems. There haven't been any World Cuba Association competitions in Cuba for a while because the US sees Cuba as aiding Russia in the war on Ukraine. So naturally, they prevent competitions from being held in Cuba. Venezuela can't really have any competitions either. So you're kind of stuck in a system where the US decides which places can have competitions. But yeah, I do think it's also fucking neat to have hobbies like this, where you constantly seek to improve yourself and refine your technique, and like every fucking revolutionary should have an activity they excel at. I think I'm really reaching here. This is not a revolutionary activity. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna improve yourself, improve your physique, improve your skills at something, it's a nice teaching instrument to teach yourself how to have discipline, how to improve at something, how to learn stuff. I talked a bit about the ACP and how it's organizing itself. It tried to organize in Quebec. Like there was an actual cell of the an organization that's linked to it in Quebec, but it failed. It flopped. They ended up associating themselves with nationalist fascists and neo-Nazis. So that's a good look for the ACP, right? As always. And now no one wants to talk to them anymore. Actually, the leader of that old party that was linked to the ACP, Billy Corbin, got fired from his job as a teacher for being racist and saying slurs at people online and talking about the Jews. There was a video where he made where he said, "Oh, why don't Marxists talk about race?" And then he made a video called... he didn't make a video. He added Marx on the Jewish question on the video. And he didn't realize that Marx was replying to, expressly to an anti-Semitic writer. And yeah, I don't know. It was a weird fucking take from Billy Corbin, but not a surprising one. So yeah, now he's just LARPing with a Catholic irredentist guy on Instagram Reels instead of actually organizing against this. And he's doing the same thing as the ACP, where he blames the big banks and the global Jewry or whatever the fuck, instead of capitalism. Ah, fucking hell. Fucking bullshit. And absolutely, yeah. I think that there is a big need for actual anti-imperialist action more than ever. I don't know what is going to be the catalyst to these different revolutionary conditions, but I hope we can reach a point where it's the conditions are rife. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of jumbling on my words. Fuck. But yeah, +2. Always fun. Yeah. But like, to have an anti-imperialist united front, it has to have an actual like anti-capitalist and anti-establishment fucking vocation. So yeah, on that note, thank you for attending to this live stream. I am deploring the augmentation of Canada's surveillance on leftists. I hate American exceptionalism. Fuck Graham Plattner. Fuck the Plattner left. Long live Marxism-leninism. And I love you all. Thank you for attending. And have a good day, everyone. Tung tung tung. How do I end this? I can't find the button.